not a very good dog model. Oh, you're so cute though. Come on. So in today's video, we're going to be learning how to make these super awesome Velcro dog bandanas. It's super easy, like I promise you can do it, it's fine. I found this Velcro at Walmart, so it's really easy. Let's get into it. So what you're going to need in this video is 2 pieces of the bandana front, so just like this, and I do have the pattern linked in the description below, or it's not really a pattern, it's just kind of a picture that I went off of. Basically, it tells you the measurements of each side, so it was 14 inches horizontally and then 10 inches vertically. And then I folded the fabric in half, left out these 2 inches, used my straight edge just like this, and took my rotary cutter and just cut off that piece. That's how I created the diagonal. Okay, so here I'm making the little flappy things. I'm going to explain that in a minute. I don't know why I'm not talking here.
Okay, and then we have, whoops, I really need to replace the blade in this. Okay, so now we have all of the pieces that we need to go ahead and start putting it together. We're going to go ahead and sew around these 3 sides here using a 1/4 of an inch, is that right? Yeah, a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so now we have both of our little flappy things, I guess that's what we're going to call them, done. So the fabric that I'm using is the same side on both sides, so it doesn't really matter which side I put together. But if you were using something that had a design on one side and then it was kind of ugly on the other side, you're going to want to make sure that you have both pretty sides facing each other, because we're going to turn this inside out. Before we do that, we need to make sure that we turn these pieces inside out. This is sometimes easier if you have like a little marker or a pencil to help you out, because these can be kind of tricky. I think there's actually tools that are specifically designed to do this. People who make a lot of scrunchies, I think, have that, but I obviously don't, so we're just gonna struggle here for a second. And we have our 2 little flappies, and we're gonna take those to the iron and press them. Please, please press them. So we're gonna move on to the next step. So if you have a fabric that has different sides on it, you're gonna wanna make sure that pretty sides are together. Ugly sides are here and here. Pretty sides are here and here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is take our little flappy pieces and we're gonna stick them to the inside here. So make sure this is the finished side and it's facing inside. So the unfinished side is facing right here. We're gonna do the same thing over here, and we're just gonna take some pins and really quickly pin that. Okay, so now that I have that pinned, we're gonna take, again, pretty side to pretty side, and we're gonna lay this one on top. And then we're gonna pin all the way around it except for either here or here or here, one of the long sides. You're gonna section off about 1 inch or 2 section about that wide that you are not gonna sew around. For the reason being, we're gonna sew all the way around and then we're gonna flip this inside out, and you need a pretty decent hole to get all the stuff out, otherwise it's gonna be a nightmare. When you get to this top edge here, the one that lines up with the flappy parts, you want to make sure that the flappy bit is moved out of the way enough that when you go to sew here, you're not going to catch that. Because if you do catch it, you're going to have to rip the seam out and start over, because it's not going to become a flap. It's just going to be stuck to the inside of the bandana. Okay, so now that we have it pinned, we're going to take it to the sewing machine and sew all the way around, again leaving that open spot. For this, we're gonna do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, again, when you're on this long side, you want to make sure that you fill in there and make sure that you are not catching that flap, otherwise it's going to mess it up. Okay, so now we've sewn all the way around except for our little spot here. So now before we turn it inside out, here's a little pro tip for you. You want to make sure, look around all of your seams and make sure that nothing got pushed out of the way or is weird. Make sure that it's sewn well all the way around the spots that it's supposed to be sewn, because there's nothing worse, because I've done it before, there's nothing worse than flipping it inside out and you notice there's like a giant hole that you can stick your whole hand through. Other than this one, it's okay that that hole's there. So, just a little tip for you. Okay, so as you can see, both of my flaps are looking really good. So the next thing is to take this to the iron, and while you're ironing, you're gonna want to fold those flaps in and then press, so that it's really easy when you have to sew around this. Okay. So now that we have pressed all the way around this, it is looking and laying a lot flatter. We're going to top stitch all the way around. I'm just going to do the main bandana part. If you want to top stitch around the little flappies, you can definitely do that as well. Again, I'm just top stitching using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. If you want it closer, you can definitely do it closer. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. With the top stitching on it, it definitely cleans it up a lot more. So the last sewing step, and technically the last step to making the bandana, is installing our Velcro. So you're going to pick whichever side looks the best. I like this side the best. And the opposite side is the side that you're going to put the Velcro on. So I recommend going and measuring your dog's neck before you sew it on. I'm definitely about to do that because it's really annoying to have to seam rip these off and replace it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so once you've measured your dog's neck, you're going to take your Velcro pieces and pin them in place. Okay, once we pin them in place, which I've just done this really roughly, we're going to take it to the sewing machine and sew them on. So I usually go ahead and take the pin off. So you just want to make sure you go slow. So instead of stitching all the way around, I'm actually just going to stitch the top and the bottom. Okay, and back stitch. Okay, and there's one side of the Velcro done. Now to move on to the other side. Okay, and there's the other side. So now we can put them together and it stays. Woo! Okay, so we have our 2 pieces of Velcro sewn on. I'm just really quickly gonna clean this up because we've got a lot of threads all over it. Okay, so really quickly I just made this decal using my Cricut. This is the Sportflex vinyl in white, and it says Farm Dog, which I think is really cute. So this is what it looks like all complete, and as you can see it has the Velcro
on the back so you can secure it just like that. So let's go try it on Jerry.
And as always, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see y'all in the next one.